Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the National News broadcast bringing to you live from the National News Studios here at Rupavahini. We are ready to bring you the top stories here at home and around the world. I'm Charita Vinupurarachi.
And I'm Dilanjali Ananda, and these are the top stories for tonight. No confidence motion against the Speaker extended by a day. Farmers to receive chemical fertilizer at concessionary rates for this Yala season. 10 kilograms of rice per month for a family extended by another 2 months. Discussions between customs officers and State Finance Minister. 20 special police teams deployed to crack down on the underworld activities from today. State Minister Shehan says that despite the announcement of an election, there will not be any setbacks to the reform process implemented with the International Monetary Fund. Asian region records the highest air pollution in the world during last year. Now for those and other stories in detail. The debate on the no-confidence motion against Speaker Mahindayappa Abewardana was commenced in Parliament today.
Even though the voting was scheduled to be held tomorrow, a decision was reached at the party leaders' meeting to extend the debate to 3 days. Accordingly, the vote on the no-confidence motion will be held on Thursday evening. Parliamentarian Lakshman Kiriyala said that under the British parliamentary traditions, a speaker should be free from political ties. However, he said that speaker continues to remain as the chairman of the Waligama Coordination Committee. Minister Mahinda Amaravira said that the Divisional Coordinating Committee chairmanship is not a political appointment, as the President invited all to take up these positions. However, no one came forward to take over the relevant positions, he added. Minister Vijaydas Rajapaksa said that he will not appear on behalf of the Speaker. He said that according to the approved Online Safety Act, the 17th section has been numbered as 16th. He said that the 20th section has also been amended despite its inclusions in the no-confidence motion. He said that the Act has been amended based on a determination issued by the Supreme Court. He said that there are 9 factors related to the Online Safety Bill in the motion which are baseless and false. Parliamentarian Professor G.L. Piri said that the Constitution points out that 5 votes are required to decide on the appointment of IGP at the Constitutional Council. However, he said that only 4 votes were given for this appointment. He also said that without 5 votes, a constitutional approval has not been granted for this approval. Parliamentarian S.P. Dissanayake said that the Constitutional Council make decisions pertaining to the post with highest authorities in the country. Accordingly, he said that if one of the voters remain absented, then no appointments can be made through the Council. Therefore, he said that when the Council reached an impasse with 4 votes on either sides, the Speaker has casted his vote to make this decision.
Meanwhile, Minister Bandula Gunawardena, who is currently taking part in the Transforming Transportation 2024 Mobilizing Resources for Climate Action organized by the World Bank and the World Resources Institute in Washington, D.C., will return to the country tomorrow. He is expecting to take part in the no-confidence motion debate against the Speaker following his return. The Minister has said that he took this decision considering the national importance of the issue and the request made by the President to take part in the debate and the vote on the no-confidence motion against the Speaker, who is the Chief of the Legislature. Now, the Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal to advise the legal tribesmen to draft the necessary laws taking into account the recommendations made by the committee appointed to amend the electoral system. The relevant proposal was presented by Minister Vijaydas Rajapaksa. The need of revising the current electoral system has been identified in order to meet the objectives of the Election Expenses Regulation Act No. 3 of 2023 and to achieve a fully democratic election. Accordingly, a cabinet subcommittee has been appointed to ask the views of all party leaders and other relevant parties representing the parliament and submit a report to the cabinet with relevant recommendations. Suggestions have been presented to the committee to elect 160 members of parliament directly from the voters of the respective constituencies and remaining 65 members of parliament to be elected at the national or provincial level according to the proportional voting system, and the agreement of the majority has been received in this regard. The Cabinet of Ministers decided to import chemical fertilizer required for paddy cultivation in 2024 season at concessionary rates. The proposal was presented by Minister Mahinda Amaravira. The fertilizer will be imported through Ceylon Fertilizer Company Limited and Colombo Commercial Fertilizer Company Limited and sell fertilizer to farmers at concessionary prices competitively with the private sector. A decision was reached to extend a provision of 15,000 rupees as subsidy per hectare for a maximum of 2 hectares cultivated by a farmer through the Department of Agricultural Development. Also, relevant subsidy will be directly credited to farmers' bank accounts. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the resolution furnished by President Ranil Wickremesinghe to award the relevant procurement to import eggs during the festive season as per the recommendation of the Standing Procurement Committee appointed by the Cabinet of Ministers. It has been calculated approximately another 42 million eggs have to be imported for the festive season requirements. The Department of Animal Production and Health has called quotations from recommended eligible Indian establishments to import this amount of eggs. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal presented by the President to provide 10 kilograms of rice per family per month for a period of 2 months by involving small and medium-scale mill owners. This will cover about 2.74 million low-income families identified through district secretaries. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal presented by Minister Harin Fernando to implement the Urume program and the program to create 1 million young entrepreneurs by collecting the necessary information through the existing mechanisms at the divisional secretariat level. The proposal presented by Minister Kanchana Wijesekara to establish the Sapugaskanda fuel refinery as a separate state enterprise from the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers. A critical investment of upgrading the relevant refinery for the operation of another 25 years has been identified. It has been found advisable to establish the Sapugaskanda fuel refinery as a separate public enterprise so the necessary investments can be provided by local and foreign private sectors. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal presented by the President to provide another 2,000 million rupees allocation under the decentralized budget program for the re-implementation of the development projects that had to be stopped midway at the rural level and to increase the allocation for special development initiatives implemented under the supervision of the President's office by another 1,000 million rupees.
20 special police teams have been deployed to crack down on underworld activities from today in parallel to the island-wide Yuktiya operations. IGP Deshabandhu Tennakon has said that this step was taken to safeguard the lives of innocent people from heinous criminal activities reported across the country. The newly established 20 special police teams will crack down the activities of each organized criminal groups. Each team comprised of 9 members including a crimes OIC, 4 intelligence officers and 2 special task force officers. The team have been established after considering underworld activities reported centering western and southern provinces in the last couple of weeks. IGP Deshabandhu Tennakon said that when considering the incidents occurred in Alpetia Police Division, 3 innocent individuals lost their lives. Therefore, he said that in an effort to ensure the fundamental rights of the innocent people, these teams were established under the Yukti operations. Accordingly, he said that the Sri Lanka Police and the Special Task Force will crack down on 20 identified criminal groups in the country.
මෙතෙක් කලක් පාතාලයේ විසින් තමන්ට අවශ්‍ය ඉලක්ක සොයාගෙන ආවි අහිංසක මිනිස්සුන්ට වෙඩි තියලා ඝාතනය කිරීම සිදු කරා නම් අද සිට එවැනි අපරාධ කල්ලිවල සමාජිකයන් පසුපස විශේෂකාර බලකාය හඹායම සිදු වෙනවා ඇත.
3 associates of an organized criminal, Dubai Avishkar, who is operating his drug trafficking network from Dubai, were taken into custody yesterday in Nugegoda. The suspect had 45 grams of ice narcotic worth 1 billion rupees in their possession upon arrest. The suspects are expected to be produced before the Nugegoda Magistrates Court. Police Special Task Force has taken 3 suspects belonging to large organised criminal organisation Kruprakatapatshayan into custody. They were arrested during a raid conducted near the Thabodharama Richmond Gill Rest House in Kandy. The suspects have been identified as residents from Moratuwa and Gonapala areas.
Custom officers engaged in a work to rule trade union action since this morning. They claim that the trade union action will continue until the Ministry of Finance provides an agreeable solution to their demands. The trade union action has been commenced against the taking over of the bank accounts dedicated for the welfare of the custom employees to the Finance Ministry. President of the Custom Officers Association, Amila Sanjeeva, said that they release close to 2,000 containers on a daily basis. He said that they only released containers with essential commodities and containers with perishable food items. Accordingly, he said that around 1,000 to 1,500 containers will not be released from the port each day. However, he said that this action will not create a shortage in the markets with essential commodities. He said that they have decided not to engage in additional duties and continue with the work to rule trade union action. President of the Container Owners Association, Sanat Manjula, said that even though custom officers claim that they release essential food commodities and medicine, at present such processes have also been limited. A meeting between the custom officers and State Finance Minister Ranjit Simbalapitiya was held at the Finance Ministry premises this evening. The State Minister has agreed to present a written alternative proposal to the Customs Officers Association. President of the Custom Officers Association, Amila Sanjeeva, said that a positive mediation was observed from the minister at the meeting.
And meanwhile, a memorandum of understanding was signed between the Ministry of Education and Microsoft Company at the Presidential Secretariat today, marking the commencement of a pilot project to integrate artificial intelligence into the school curriculum. This initiative will offer students above grade 8 the opportunity to delve into the AI within the realm of information technology. The pilot project is altered to be rolled out in 20 selected schools across 20 districts with a commitment to provide conducive classrooms and necessary technical equipment. A dedicated team from Microsoft will extend support to facilitate online educational activities. Prior to the signing, the President Ranil Wickremesinghe engaged in discussions with Microsoft representatives at the President's office. The representative assured the President of their unwavering support towards incorporating AI into the educational framework. Education Minister Susil Premachand disclosed this program aims the fulfillment of implementation by 2025.
Now, the Indian government has agreed to extend financial assistance for the fully development of the Sri Lanka Port Authority owned Kankasantare Port. Accordingly, Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, has said that a grant of $61.5 million will be extended for this project.
This was revealed during a recent meeting between Minister Nimal Siripal De Silva and the Indian High Commissioner held at the Ministry office. As a part of the project, a new breakwater will be constructed at the port, will be dragged up to a depth of 30 meters to accommodate deep draft vessels. During the discussion, the Indian High Commissioner expressed India's commitment to enhance regional cooperation between the two nations and pledged that the fullest assistance to attract more Indian tourists to Sri Lanka. He also said that the Indian government has designated Sri Lanka as the top travel destination for Indian tourists.
Group of Tamil National Alliance parliamentarians engaged in a protest in the parliamentary chamber today. They protested, claiming that a group of individuals who were engaged in religious observances at an archaeological site in Vaunia area has been taken into custody. The MPs urged the immediate release of the 8 individuals who are in custody. Parliamentarian Charles Nirmalanathan said that on the last 8, the Archaeology Department has made false accusations and compelled the arrest of 8 individuals who carried out a puja at the Shivan Kovil in Vaunia North. Accordingly, he said that they demand the release of the arrested individuals. Minister Vijaydas Rajapaksa said that if an irregularity has occurred pertaining to the incident in Vavuniya, the courts will be notified in this regard following an independent and impartial investigation. Then he said that the court will deliver justice accordingly. He said that the justice will be delivered to the individuals after hearing the relevant case, despite the claims made by the parliamentarians in the parliament urging their release.
Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says he will not issue any route permit using his ministerial powers. The minister made these remarks during a discussion held at the ministry auditorium recently. The permits of a group of permanent route permit holders under the National Transport Commission were amended temporarily for other routes considering passenger requirements. Accordingly, based on an order issued by the Supreme Court, steps were taken to convert these temporary route permits to permanent permits after changing a certain fee. The permanent permits were awarded to the relevant permit holders during an event held recently with the participation of Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena. He said that new permits will not be issued in future unless for an absolute necessary situation. Meanwhile, the minister mentioned that the bus service should be operated under a joint time schedule. State Minister Lasantha Alagiyawanna was also present at this occasion.
Leader of the National People's Power, Anurakumar Dissanayake, met with Japanese Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Mizukoshi Hideaki today. The meeting was held at the National People's Power head office. Lengthy discussions have taken place on the current economic and political situations in the country. The stance of the National People's Power over the mediation of the International Monetary Fund was also briefed during the meeting. The Japanese ambassador clarified several investment opportunities which are expected to reach the country in near future. MP Vijay Herath and Japanese envoys were present on this occasion.
Moving ahead with more local stories, State Minister Shehan Semasinga says that despite the announcement of an election, there will not be any setbacks the reforms process implemented within the International Monetary Fund. He said that the government is ready to introduce reforms which are currently being implemented and laws as the country. The State Minister made these remarks while engaging in a discussion with the IMF Executive Director for India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Bhutan. Discussions were held over the program which is currently being implemented in the country. The IMF Executive Director extended his attention on the delays which have occurred in the digitalization of the tax system. The State Minister during the meeting said that the government took steps to increase the income tax files from 400,000 to 1 million at present.
And we have more news from home in brief. The distribution of textbooks and uniforms for students for the year 2024 through all divisional education offices has been concluded. If an individual has not received textbooks, then complaints can be lodged with the telephone numbers 0112 784 815 or 0112 785 305 or fax to 0112 784 815 or send an email to epddistribution2024@gmail.com. If an individual has not received uniforms, then complaints can be lodged with the telephone numbers 0112 785 573 or fax to 0112 785 573 or send an email to schoolsupplymoe@gmail.com. Venerable Kirindivela Somaratana Thera has been conferred with the Chief Judicial Sanganayaka title for both North and East provinces. The relevant epistole offering ceremony was held at the Arantalava Bhikkhu Center with the participation of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The 92nd anniversary of the Tinakaran newspaper, published by Lake House Publishers, was held yesterday. The ceremony, organized by Chairman of the Lake House, Professor Harendra Karyavasam, Minister Douglas Devananda, advisor to the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation Hazim Omar, editor of Tinakaran newspaper Senthil Velavar, were present on this occasion. Mr. Muthaya, father of veteran cricketer Muthaya Muralidharan, and head of Tamil News of Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation CDM Shyam, were facilitated with their contribution for the betterment of the newspaper.
The governor of the Eastern Province, Senthil Tondaman, says that the debt crisis of the country can be resolved by successfully executing the development projects outlined for the Eastern Province under the guidance of the President. He made these remarks during a press briefing held at the President's Media Centre today.
His Excellency the President, Ranil Wickremesinghe, has advised me to make sure to develop the province, Eastern Province, which has been under a 30 years war. Compared to the other provinces, Eastern Provinces has a 30 years gap in development. So on this advice and on the vision of His Excellency President Ranil Wickremesinghe, we have started to explore the resources which are available in the Eastern Province, which will be very helpful for the development of the country, nation. To start with, we have a very huge deposits of mineral sands. Then we also have a very good location sites for tourism, and also we have good sites for shrimp cultivation, prawn farming, and apart from that we have one of the world's best natural harbors, and we have few airports and beautiful agricultural lands which are fertile. So right now we are planning to see how we can capitalize all this and make sure these resources support not only the province but also to support the nation. So on His Excellency's advice, now we have started exploring all these natural resources and the potential of that area. We are very confident that Sri Lanka will come out of this crisis as early as possible, in that Eastern Province will play a major role in supporting Sri Lanka's economy in the near future.
And that's it on local stories. Stay tuned with international stories after this break.
Big match fun, prima kottumi tiyanaka.
என்ன பாத்துக்கத்தான் ஆட்கள் இருக்காங்க.
Welcome back on Foreign News. Only 7 countries are meeting an international air quality standard, with deadly air pollution worsening in places due to a rebound in economic activity and the toxic impact of wildfire smoke, a new report has found. Of 134 countries and regions surveyed in the report, only 7, Australia, Estonia, Finland, Grenada, Iceland, Mauritius and New Zealand, are meeting the World Health Organization guideline limit for tiny airborne particles expelled by cars, trucks and industrial processes. The vast majority of countries are failing to meet the standard for inhalable particulate matter and held of 2.5 units, a type of microscopic speck of soot less than the width of a human hair, that when inhaled can cause a myriad of health problems and death, risking serious implications for people, according to a report by IQ Air, a Swiss air quality organization that draws data from more than 30,000 monitoring stations around the world. Air pollution kills an estimated 7 million people a year worldwide, more than AIDS and malaria combined, and this burden is most heavily felt in developing countries that rely upon particularly dirty fuels for heating, light and indoor cooking.
The city's worsening air.
Moving to North Korea, the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has overseen live fire drills involving newly equipped super large multiple rocket launchers a day after South Korea and Japan reported the country's launch of several short-range ballistic missiles, its first such test in about 2 months. The official Korean Center news agency said that drills were aimed at testing the real-war capabilities of 600mm multiple rocket launchers. The latest test involves stimulating an aerial explosion of a shell at a predetermined altitude above the target. North Korean leader, who has overseen multiple tests in recent years as he pursues his plan to modernize North Korea's military, said that rocket launchers would provide the core central striking means in war preparations. Seoul military announced yesterday it had detected the launch of multiple short-range ballistic missiles from the North Korea.
Now, South Sudan is closing all schools in preparation for an extreme heat wave expected to last 2 weeks. The Health and Education Ministries have advised parents to keep all children indoors as temperatures are expected to soar to 45 degrees Celsius. They warned that any school found open during the warning period would have its registration withdrawn, but the statement issued late on Saturday did not specify how long schools would remain closed. The ministry said they will continue to monitor the situation and inform the public accordingly. Sudan media reports that advisory to close school came into effect from yesterday. South Sudan, one of the world's youngest nations, is particularly vulnerable to the climate crisis, with heat waves common but rarely exceeding 40 degrees Celsius. Civil conflict has plagued the East African country, which also suffers drought and flooding, making living conditions difficult.
United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken warns the Gaza entire population is facing acute food insecurity. During his visit to Philippines, U.S. Secretary on State said that 2 billion of Gaza residents are experiencing severe levels of acute food insecurity as for the first time. Antony Blinken requested the Israeli to prioritize in providing for those in need. United Nations agencies have said that North Gaza could face famine without a pause in the fighting and surge in aid. Israeli negotiations are due to begin talks in Qatar today to an agreement with Hamas to halt the fighting for the access of humanitarian aid and to release Israeli hostages.
If you look at some of the assessments that we're seeing now, they only underscore the urgency of making sure that this assistance is a priority and that it's sustained. Again, according to the most respected measure of these things, 100% of the population in Gaza is at severe levels of acute food insecurity. That's the first time an entire population has been so classified. We also see, again, according to, in this case, the United Nations, 100%, the totality of the population, is in need of humanitarian assistance. Compare that to Sudan, about 80% of the population there is in need of humanitarian assistance. Afghanistan, about 70%. So, again, this only underscores both the urgency, the imperative of making this the priority.
The Sri Lankan squad for the Test series against Bangladesh was announced yesterday.
The announcement was made following the approval from Minister Harin Fernando. Dhananjaya Silva will captain the 17-member squad, while Kusal Mendis has been named as the vice-captain. The other players include the squad are Dimut Karunaratne, Nishan Madhushankar, Angela Matthews, Dinesh Chandimal, Sadira Samaravikrama, Kamidu Mendis, Lahiru Dara, Vanidu Hasaranga, Prabhat Jayasuriya, Ramesh Mendit, Nishan Piris, Kasun Rajita, Vishwa Fernando, Lahiru Kumara and Chamika Gunasekara. Vanidu Hasaranga has been recalled to the squad after a gap of 3 years. Lahiru Kumara replaces Asista Fernando, who is suffering from an injury. The 2-test series will begin on the 22nd of this month. The first test will be played at Style Hill.
Prima Stella Set Yogurt.
Jayaganna, ready when.
And that's it on tonight's news. Reach us tomorrow at the very same time. I'm Charita signing off with Dulanjali. Stay safe. Good night.
Good night.